Welcome back, everyone, to another week and another episode of Interventions and Detentions. I'm your host, Brad. Thanks for tuning back in. It's been a long week. It's getting really hot here in Indiana under a heat advisory today, so I'm down in the basement where it's nice and cool. Remember, Interventions and Detentions, folks, it's where the real learning begins. And, we're at the end of a school year. Some of you might still be in session. I hope you're not. I said that last week. I hope you're not. But if you are, hang in there. The end is in sight. And this is the time for celebrations. It's graduations, celebrations, the end of the school year. And we're going to talk about celebrations today. Talking about something that I believe has become one of the most important responsibilities of school leadership. Not budgeting, not discipline, not scheduling, not curriculum. Those are all important. But we're going to talk about people today. More specifically, how to celebrate, appreciate, and value those people that make our schools work. The people that make the principals look good, make our jobs easier. Now, I know there are some administrators listening right now who already may be thinking, well, Brad, I've got teacher shortages, behavior issues, state mandates, parent concerns, transportation problems, budget constraints, and about 17 other things on my plate, and the list goes on and on and on. I get it, folks. I get it. I've lived it. I'm right there with you. The reality of school leadership today is that every day feels like we're balancing 10 priorities while handling 3 unexpected crises right before lunch, right? So when someone starts talking about staff appreciation, it can sound like one more thing to add to an already full plate. But here's what I want to challenge everyone on today. Staff appreciation isn't just another thing, okay? It's connected to everything because every initiative in your school depends on people. Every goal depends on people. Every program depends on people. Every improvement effort depends on people. And if the people carrying the organization are exhausted, discouraged, disconnected, or feel invisible, eventually every other initiative begins to suffer. I want to start with a question. Have you ever had an employee leave and thought, I didn't realize how important they were until they were gone? I know I have. I've had it happen more than once, unfortunately. Maybe for you it was a teacher or a secretary, maybe a paraprofessional, custodian, maybe even a counselor or a bus driver. But whoever it was, we've all experienced it. Someone leaves, and suddenly we realize how much they really contributed, how much they carried, how much they impacted the school culture, how much they influenced students. And often, if we're being honest, we wish we had told them more often. We wish we had thanked them more. We wish we had celebrated them more intentionally. Today's episode is about making sure that we don't wait until people have left to help them understand their value, because appreciation isn't just fluff and stuff. It's really about leadership. And I'd argue it's one of the most powerful retention strategies available to us as school leaders. Let's start by talking about reality for a moment. Not the reality we put on social media, the actual reality. Education's hard right now. I think I've made that pretty clear in almost every episode that I do. It's hard right now. And before someone says education has always been hard, I'll say I agree, okay? I agree with that. It has. But that doesn't mean today's challenges aren't significant. Educators are managing increasing academic needs, increasing social emotional needs, increasing behavioral needs, and increasing expectations all across the board. At the same time, many schools are facing staffing shortages that force existing employees to do more with less. When positions remain vacant, somebody absorbs that work. When substitutes aren't available, somebody absorbs that work. Somebody has to step in. When additional responsibilities emerge, somebody absorbs that work. And eventually, people begin asking themselves a simple question. Is anybody noticing? Is anybody seeing the extra that I'm doing? Not because they need applause or a pat on the back, not because they're seeking attention, simply because they're human. And human beings need affirmation. One of the biggest leadership lessons I've learned in my time is this. Most people don't need more motivation. Most people just need more encouragement. The teachers in our buildings aren't lacking motivation. The paraprofessionals in our buildings aren't lacking motivation. The custodians in our buildings aren't lacking motivation. Even the counselors, nope, they're not lacking motivation. Most of them entered education because they wanted to make a difference. What wears people down isn't a lack of purpose, it's a lack of replenishment. Think about that, a lack of replenishment. Every difficult student interaction is a withdrawal. Every challenging parent conversation is a withdrawal. Every staff shortage is a withdrawal. Every frustrating mandate is a withdrawal. Every unexpected problem is a withdrawal. It takes a toll on us all. So the question becomes, what are the deposits and where are they? Where are the people finding encouragement? Where are they finding support? Where are they finding appreciation? Because if withdrawals continually exceed the deposits, burnout becomes inevitable. And that's exactly what many organizations are experiencing today. One of the most interesting conversations I have with administrators when I get together with them involves retention. Everybody wants to know how to retain great people. And there are certainly factors we cannot control. Things like salary, geography, family circumstances, career changes, retirement. Those things happen. But there are also factors that we absolutely can influence. People stay where they feel valued. People stay where they feel respected. People stay where they feel trusted. And people stay where they feel connected. Boy, those are all hitting home at the moment. Think about your own career. I want you to picture the best leader that you've ever worked for. Maybe not the smartest, not necessarily the most organized or the most innovative, but just the best one. Why were they the best? Chances are it wasn't because of a spreadsheet or a strategic plan. It wasn't because of their great handbook writing skills. It was probably because how they made you feel. They believed in you, they supported you, they encouraged you, they noticed you, they valued you. People remember how leaders make them feel, and that feeling often influences whether they stay or go. Let's make an important distinction for a moment. Recognition and appreciation are not exactly the same thing. Recognition is acknowledging what someone does. Appreciation is acknowledging who someone is. Recognition says, hey, great lesson today. Appreciation says, your commitment to students makes this school better. Recognition, hey, you improved student achievement, great job. Appreciation, the relationships you build with kids really matter, and I noticed that. Recognition focuses on the performance. Appreciation focuses on the value. And both matter. But appreciation often creates deeper connection because it isn't tied to outcomes. It's tied to worth. People need to know that they're valued not only when they succeed, they need to know they're valued because they belong. Here's one of the biggest traps we administrators fall into. We become professional problem solvers. I've been guilty. It's what the job requires often. We address issues, we solve conflicts, we manage concerns, we respond to crisis. We spend our day looking for problems. The danger is that if we're not careful, we become experts at identifying what's wrong while overlooking what's right. We notice mistakes immediately. We notice concerns right away. We notice shortcomings right away. But excellence often becomes invisible, especially when it isn't consistent. Think about your most dependable employees, the people who show up every day. They're always there. They always show up. They always help. They always support. They always do the right thing. And sometimes they receive the least attention because you've come to expect excellence from them. And that, folks, can be dangerous because dependable people still need that encouragement. Exceptional people still need appreciation. The employees carrying the heaviest load sometimes often need recognition the most. If someone asked me the most valuable resource in a school, my answer is simple, and I think yours would be too. It's people. Not the programs, not our technology, not curriculum. Simply put, people. Programs don't build relationships, people do. Technology doesn't inspire students, well, some it might, but really people do. Curriculum definitely doesn't create culture, the people do. Everything in education rises and falls on people. And if people are our greatest asset, shouldn't appreciating them be one of our greatest priorities? I think so. And yet, many schools invest more time maintaining equipment than just encouraging their employees. We schedule maintenance for our buildings. We schedule maintenance for our buses. We schedule maintenance for our technology. But do we schedule maintenance for encouragement? Do we schedule appreciation? Do we intentionally invest in morale? The best leaders do. Not because it's trendy, because it's strategic. One of the most common mistakes that schools make is focusing on appreciation exclusively on teachers. Teachers absolutely deserve appreciation, but so does everyone else in the building. Think about your secretaries. Many schools would completely fall apart without them. Shout out to Beth Spencer, my secretary, one of the best ones around, and I've had some good ones. Shout out to Lori Heron. Lots of great secretaries in my lifetime. Sheila Howe. Lots of good secretaries. Those people manage communication, they solve problems, they support parents, they assist staff, they coordinate logistics, and somehow they make the chaos look manageable. Think about your paraprofessionals for a moment. They support students with significant needs. They manage difficult situations, they build relationships, and they provide interventions to our students. And often they do so without much public recognition. Here's an important group, your custodians. Think about them for just a moment. Imagine your custodial staff disappearing for a week. Exactly. Think about that. Schools function because of their work. Think about food service employees, or your bus drivers, your counselors, interventionists, nurses, tech staff, your maintenance teams. Everyone has a part in student success. Culture improves when appreciation becomes all-inclusive, not selective. The goal isn't to celebrate just a few shining stars. The goal is to help everyone feel value. Before we talk about types of recognition programs, let's talk about something even more important: presence. Not presence with a T, presence with a C. Because appreciation starts with visibility. Staff members cannot feel connected to leaders they never see. One of the greatest advantages administrators have is just simply showing up. Not to your office, but to the building, into the classrooms, into the places all day long. Walk in those classrooms, visit offices, stop by the cafeteria, spend time with custodians, and talk with bus drivers. Check in with support staff. Presence communicates value. When leaders spend time with people, they're sending a message. They're sending a message that you matter. I see you. I appreciate you. And that message costs nothing. Let's talk about one of the simplest and most powerful leadership tools available. And I use this one a lot. The handwritten note. Not an email, not a text, a handwritten note. And I will say, sometimes I type them out and then add a little handwritten note to them. I just did that this week, actually. Why does this work? Well, because it's personal, it's intentional, and it's not common. In a world filled with digital communication, a handwritten note really stands out. Some of the most meaningful recognition I've ever witnessed came through simple handwritten messages. Just a few sentences, nothing specific, but genuine and timely. That's it. And many people keep those notes for years. I have a whole drawer, like a file cabinet. I don't use files anymore, but I have my file cabinet drawer. It holds memories. That's the only file that's in it, and it's stuffed full of memories. It might be handwritten notes and cards and pictures and things. That's important to me. Imagine writing 3 notes every week, just 3. That's over 100 meaningful touches across a school year. 100 opportunities to strengthen culture, 100 opportunities to encourage your staff and the people that work for you, 100 opportunities to remind employees that their work matters and that they're important. That is leadership. Let's stay with another simple strategy that has tremendous impact: positive phone calls. Now, most of you know what happens when a staff member sees the principal's number pop up on their phone. Their first thought is usually not, I bet Brad is calling to tell me how amazing I am this week. Usually it's more like, oh gosh, what happened? What does Brad want now? What did I do? That's why a positive phone call is so powerful. They're unexpected, they're memorable, and they're personal. Imagine calling a teacher on a Thursday afternoon and saying, hey, I know you're probably busy. I just wanted to tell you, I was in your classroom today and the way that you engaged those students, it was incredible. I left smiling. Keep doing what you're doing. That's a 60-second conversation. Probably not even that. I think that was more like 15 seconds. But think about the impact that that will have for months. 15 seconds. Look what it just gained you. I've also seen leaders call spouses. I've seen them call parents or family members. Imagine someone's husband answering the phone and them hearing this. Hi, this is the principal. I just wanted you to know how much your wife means to our school. That is so powerful, because appreciation isn't just about recognizing the person, the employee. It's about helping the people around them understand the difference that they're making. One lesson I've learned over the years is that specific praise always beats generic praise. Think about the difference between these two statements. Hey, great job. And, hey, the way that you calmly handled that student situation today prevented a problem from becoming much, much bigger. Great job. Which one feels more meaningful to you? Yeah, the second one. Why? Because it demonstrates attention. Specific praise tells people, I saw what you did, I noticed your effort, I understand the contribution that you made. Anyone can say good job. Great leaders describe exactly what was good. One challenge I often give administrators is this. When you compliment someone, make sure that you can answer two questions. What did they do? Why did it matter? If you answer those two questions, your praise, it becomes meaningful, folks. Let's address something maybe a little more uncomfortable for a moment. Not all appreciation efforts work. In fact, some appreciation efforts actually damage morale. How, you might ask? Well, because they're disconnected from reality. Every administrator has probably heard the joke, we don't need another pizza party. Now, people will laugh because there's truth in it. I love pizza, don't get me wrong. But staff don't dislike pizza either. They dislike feeling that pizza is replacing something more important, support. There's a huge difference. Imagine a teacher struggling with workload, feeling overwhelmed, unheard, exhausted, and leadership responds with donuts. Donuts aren't the problem. The disconnect, that's the problem. Appreciation can't substitute for support. Support gotta come first, folks. It's gotta come first. Recognition works when employees believe leadership genuinely cares about them. Without trust, appreciation feels just performative at that point. With trust, the appreciation is going to feel a little more authentic. Now let's talk about the most valuable gift administrators can provide to their staff, and that is simply time. Not a gift card, not snacks or pizza. I love pizza. Not t-shirts, time. Time is often what educators need the most. Think about what 30 extra minutes mean to a teacher. 30 minutes to plan, maybe to do some grading, to catch their breath, maybe to prepare for tomorrow. One of the most impactful things leaders can do is occasionally give time back to teachers or their staff. Cover a class, take a duty assignment, handle supervision, step in and help. These moments communicate something powerful. I see how hard you're working. I understand what you're carrying, and I want to help. Those messages build trust, and trust builds culture. Now, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the people who are often overlooked. This doesn't happen intentionally. Nobody wants to be overlooking staff members. It's just unintentionally. The quiet contributors. Every building has them. The employee who never seeks attention, the one who always volunteers, the employee who quietly solves problems or doesn't make problems, the one who consistently supports others, the employee who never asks for recognition. These people, they're often the backbone of a school. But because they don't demand the attention, they sometimes receive very little. One of the best leadership habits is intentionally looking for people who aren't being celebrated. Ask yourself, who rarely gets recognized? Who quietly makes everyone else's job a little bit easier? Who contributes without seeking credit? That's often where your next appreciation effort must and should go. One-time recognition is nice. Traditions are better. Traditions become part of a culture, and people look forward to them. People talk about them. People remember them. Maybe it's a monthly coffee cart, a traveling trophy, Friday shout-outs, staff birthdays, employee spotlights and shout-outs. The specific tradition matters less than the consistency. When recognition becomes predictable, culture becomes stronger. The key is sustainability. Don't create something that you can't maintain. Small and consistent beats elaborate and occasional every single time. Let's get really extremely practical for a moment. Here are 30 ideas administrators can implement soon. Not all at once. Just choose a few. Write some handwritten notes. Make some positive phone calls. Create a staff spotlight. Share positive parent feedback. Share positive student feedback. Celebrate those birthdays. Celebrate work anniversaries. Provide preferred parking. Deliver some coffee. Create a snack cart. Love the snack cart. Offer Jeans Day. Really, I feel like every day should be Jeans Day, so every day needs to be a Jeans Day. Provide breakfast forums. Celebrate personal accomplishments. Recognize community involvement. Create peer nominations. Create a gratitude wall. Highlight staff members in newsletters. Feature staff on social media. Cover their class. Take a duty assignment. Celebrate growth. Celebrate teamwork. Celebrate innovation. Celebrate resilience and kindness and consistency. Celebrate their service and their leadership, and celebrate their effort. Simply say thank you more often. Notice something. Most of these ideas that I just mentioned cost little or nothing at all. Appreciation isn't primarily a budget issue, it's an intentionality issue. Let's discuss something that may be the most powerful form of appreciation out there: trust. When leaders trust their employees, they're communicating respect. Think about how good it feels when someone says, "I trust your judgment." Those 4 words matter, probably more than anything else. They empower people. Trust encourages ownership. It creates confidence. Micromanagement does the opposite. Micromanagement communicates, "Hey, I don't fully believe in your ability," or, "I think you maybe could be doing this a little bit better." On the other hand, trust communicates, "Hey, I know you can do this. I've seen your potential. You've got this." One of the greatest forms of appreciation is just giving people the autonomy to do their job well. Get out of their way. Have you ever noticed that certain schools seem to retain employees forever? The 20, 30, 40-year people, those are becoming more rare all the time. People that rarely leave, people actively seeking opportunities to work there. Why? It's not because of their beautiful facilities. They might have the worst building in the district. It's usually not because of the salary, but it's probably going to be because of the culture. People stick around where they feel connected, where they feel appreciated or valued, where they have strong relationships with staff members and team members. They stay where they believe they matter. The strongest retention strategy out there in education isn't a program. It's really just a culture. And culture is built through the leadership. One interaction at a time, one relationship at a time, one act of appreciation at a time. One challenge many administrators face is consistency. Everybody starts the year with great intentions. I'm already gearing up and thinking about all the things I want to do at my new school and my new job and my new staff. Then reality is going to hit and happen. So let's build a simple framework that we can work with. How about this? August, welcome people intentionally. The focus for September, focus on some handwritten notes. October, let's do some classroom celebrations. November, gotta be gratitude month. What are you thankful for? December, holiday appreciation. January, that mid-year encouragement. February, let's be kind. Some kindness initiatives. March, let's have some peer recognition. Shout outs for each other. April, wellness and support time. May, appreciation celebrations because we're at that end of the year. And June, reflection and recognition. The goal isn't complexity, folks. It's consistency. And right there, I've laid it out for a whole school year for you, what you can do each month to put some focus on what you need to do to show appreciation. Because when appreciation becomes part of your calendar, it becomes part of your culture. I want to pause and ask just a few questions. Who in your building needs that encouragement right now? Who's been carrying a heavy load? Who has quietly contributed all year long and went unnoticed? Who have you unintentionally overlooked? Who needs to hear that their work matters? And perhaps the most important question here, if your employees described your leadership, would appreciation be part of the story? That's worth thinking about because the answer reveals a lot about culture. As we begin wrapping up this conversation today on appreciation, I want to leave you with something I've been thinking about a lot throughout my career. At the end of the day, leadership is influence. It's not authority, it's not about position, it's not about the title, but it's about influence. And one of the greatest opportunities we have as leaders is helping people see the impact they're making. Think about how many educators spend their entire careers wondering if they've made a difference. A teacher may never know what happens to a student 10 years after they leave the building. A parapro may never fully understand the confidence they helped build in a struggling child. That custodian may never hear how much students appreciated having a clean, safe, and welcoming school. That secretary may never realize how many anxious parents felt comforted because of that kind conversation over the phone. A bus driver may never know how much a smile mattered to a student having a difficult morning, or maybe just that simple greeting as they got on the bus. The reality is that many people in education never get to see the full impact of their work. That's where leadership comes in. One of our responsibilities is just helping people understand the difference that they're making. Not exaggerating it, not manufacturing it, truly helping them to see what is already true. Because sometimes people are so busy serving others that they forget their own value. And sometimes they just need somebody to remind them. And that somebody needs to be us, administrators. Here's a question that has challenged me for years. What story will people tell about working for you? Think about that. Someday, every employee who works in your building will move on. Whether it be retirement, promotion, maybe a career change, relocation to a new building, eventually everyone leaves. And when they do, they tell stories. Stories about the culture, stories about the students, stories about their colleagues, and stories about the leadership. What do you hope those stories sound like for you? Do you want people saying, "That was the hardest I've ever worked," or "That was the most valued I've ever felt"? Hopefully both, because that first one can be a good thing, not a negative thing. Great schools challenge people. Great schools expect excellence. Great schools hold high standards, but great schools also appreciate the people that do those things, that make those things happen. The best leaders I've ever worked with somehow managed to do both. They've pushed people to improve, and they made people feel valued. They held people accountable, and they encouraged them. They expected excellence, and they celebrated the effort. That balance is leadership. I think appreciation highlights the difference between management and leadership. Managers monitor performance. Leaders inspire people. Managers focus on the tasks. Leaders focus on the people. Managers maintain systems. Leaders build cultures within those systems. Now, don't misunderstand me here, folks. Schools need management. Schedules matter, budgets matter, compliance matters, systems matter, but culture determines whether people thrive within those systems. And culture is built through relationships, one conversation at a time, one interaction at a time, one moment of appreciation at a time. You don't build culture during Teacher Appreciation Week. It's too late then. You've got to build the culture on random Tuesdays in October. You have to build that culture in hallway conversations. Build that culture in handwritten notes. Build culture when you stop to just thank somebody. Build culture when you notice their effort. And build culture when you help people understand what their value really is. So here's the challenge I want to leave every administrator listening with today. Not 10 people, not 20, just 3. Think about 3 people in your building. 3 people who make your school better. 3 people who consistently contribute. 3 people who deserve encouragement. Now make a commitment. Within the next week, you're going to intentionally recognize them somehow. Not with a generic, hey, thank you. Not with a mass email. Personally, specifically, authentically. Tell them what they do and tell them why it matters. Tell them the difference that they're making. That's it. 3 people. And here's what's interesting. When leaders start intentionally appreciating others, something happens. The behavior becomes contagious. Teachers start appreciating one another. Support staff start appreciating one another. Teams start appreciating one another. Culture, it begins to shift. Not because of a program, but because of a practice. Now, before we finish, I want to make one final point. Appreciation is not about being nice. It's not about avoiding those difficult conversations, because you still have to have those too. It's not about lowering your expectations. It's not about becoming everyone's friend. In fact, some of the strongest leaders I've ever known were also some of the most appreciative. They held high standards, they expected that excellence, and they addressed problems directly. But they also made sure people knew that they were valued. Appreciation and accountability are not opposites. They're partners. The best cultures have both. People know what's expected, and they know that they're appreciated. People are challenged, but yet they're supported. People are held accountable, and they're encouraged. That, folks, that's the sweet spot. That's where great leadership lives and thrives. As we close today, I want to return to where we started. Staff appreciation isn't fluff. It's not extra, definitely not optional. It's not something we do when we just have some spare time. It's really just leadership. Because every person in your building wants to know something. Do I matter here? Do they see me? Does my work really make a difference? Do you value what I contribute? And every day, through our actions, our words, and our presence, we answer those questions that our staff are asking of themselves. The question is whether we're answering them intentionally. Because here's what I know. People who feel valued give more. People who feel appreciated stay longer. People who feel supported take more risks. People who feel connected invest more deeply. And when those things happen, schools improve. Students benefit, communities grow stronger, and the work becomes more meaningful for everyone involved. And with that, I want to thank everybody for joining me again this week for another episode of Interventions and Detentions with your host, Brad. We're on episode 2:36, folks. We're winding down. I'm going to be getting ready to take a summer break here pretty soon, but I've got a couple more episodes lined up with some very special guests. One next week that I'm not going to give away just yet, but if you listen to season 1, you're going to love episode 237. And that's all I'm going to say. And probably the final episode for the season will be, I won't say who yet, but I will encourage you, if you've never heard of the program called Book Blast by Reading is Fun, check it out. Especially if you're in elementary school, I've been doing the Book Blast program for the last 3 years in my building, and I'm going to continue it wherever I go. It's a great program that puts books in the hands of every kid in your building with very little effort. And I would just encourage you, check out Book Blast and get ready for probably episode 238 on what Book Blast is and how to get started with it. Very fun program. So if today's conversation hit you, struck you, resonated with you at all, I'd encourage you to share this episode with maybe other school staff, principals, assistant principals, superintendents, maybe your instructional coach or counselor, teacher leaders even, anyone responsible for building culture within a school. And as you head into your next staff meeting or gearing up for that fall staff meeting, maybe your next classroom visit, your next hallway conversation, remember this. People rarely get tired of being appreciated. They often do get tired of feeling invisible. Be the leader who notices all the things. Be the leader who encourages all the people. Be the leader who celebrates things and people. Because great schools aren't built again by programs. They're built by people, like we said at the beginning. And people thrive where appreciation lives. And with that, until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and above all, folks, keep making a difference. Thank you for all that you do. This has been Interventions and Detentions with your host, Brad. Remember, it's where the real learning begins. See you next Friday.